second film on Netflix, The King, starring Timothée Chalamet, deserve your attention this weekend on Netflix. We're going to talk about that and much more. The King, directed by David Michôd and written by David Michôd and Joel Edgerton, stars Timothée Chalamet, Joel Edgerton, Sean Harris, Lily Rose Depp, Robert Pattinson, and Ben Mendelsohn. Our wayward prince and heir to the English throne is crowned King Henry V after his tyrannical father dies. Now the young king must navigate palace politics, the war his father left behind, and the emotional strings of his past life. Hey everybody, Elliot here to talk about the new historical drama, The King, on Netflix. Definitely consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. And I would love to know what you thought of The King. Let me know in the comment section. So let's kick this review off. So first and foremost, I'll be up front. I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of medieval movies, and necessarily I'm not a big fan of war movies, believe it or not. I've seen the great ones. I've watched shows that deal with war, Game of Thrones, and so on and so forth, but I don't necessarily seek these type of this type of subject matter or material as I do some of my other things that I enjoy, horror, comedy, and you know, so on and so forth. So my draw to this film was the cast. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, you have Timothée Chalamet, Robert Pattinson, Sean Penn, Ben Mickelson, Joel Edgerton. Very, very well-versed cast, very well-known cast. It's one of those situations where you hear people say, like, I'll watch, you know, fill in the blank, read a phone book, or I'll watch them do this, that, and the other. So that's how I felt about this film. You know, I love every one of these cast members, and I'm glad that they're in one movie together. So that was really my draw. So kind of getting into this review here, starting off with the positives. This is a 2-hour and 20-minute film, and it definitely touches on different things that I do like about shows like Game of Thrones or Rome, or, you know, shows that deal with the, you know, the war of things of old times, but also the politics of the situation. That's really what I loved about Game of Thrones, outside of things like the walkers and the dragons and the supernatural elements and the sci-fi elements, but it's really the politics around how this person becomes king, or how this person gets power, how Littlefinger can start a whole war. That's what I liked about this film. As we watch the first, like literally the first 2 acts really focus on King Henry V and his uprising of king, and kind of the struggles of him becoming a king, and the people that are not really believing him as a king, because before his father dies, as we kind of see pretty early in the film, he's looked upon as this drunken fool who really doesn't have respect for kind of the traditions and really doesn't want to be a king per se. And we see those that development of the character, and I really kind of like that element of the film and how we navigate from him kind of gaining the trust of his people, and most importantly, gaining the trust of his, you know, his advisors that come from his father. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. Can't leave out the performances. Again, as I kind of look through this cast here, starting off with the lead, Timothée Chalamet, in my opinion, is one of those up-and-coming actors that is a young Leonardo DiCaprio, in my opinion. You know, every film I've seen him in, he always gives it 110%. One of my favorite performances in the last 10 years does come from Timothée Chalamet, and Call Me By Your Name, one of my favorite films from 2 years ago. So I thought his struggles in this film and his growth as a character was really well done, and he really demands your attention. There's a couple scenes where he gives a couple speeches, and you believe in him, and in the fear that he has at times, and the emotion that he evokes. He's a very emotional type of character in this film, and makes reactions and makes decisions off of his emotions. And I love that portrayal that we got from Timothée Chalamet. And kind of go through the run list here. Joel Edgerton, as I mentioned up top, wrote this film. It's based on a Shakespeare play, but I thought he did a good job in writing the film, but also playing the movie as Sir John, kind of the friend of Timothée Chalamet. And they were, by far, they had the most chemistry on screen because they spent the most time on screen. So you do get these big actors, but they don't spend as much time on screen as I would have liked. But I thought Joel Edgerton as Sir John was a good character, and I really liked their relationship. Sean Harris, who I'm a big fan of from the Mission Impossible series, he's a very methodical and some scheming type of character, and I really enjoyed his scene in Timothée Chalamet, especially at the end of the movie. That was really well done. I won't go into any spoilers, but I really enjoyed their moments together as his advisor. And then Lily Rose Depp, who has a smaller role, but her scenes, even though she was in the film for her duration of time, short duration of time, she really brought a good presence to her. And I really haven't seen her in too many films, but she's someone to keep an eye out for, and I liked her performance. Robert Pattinson, as I had mentioned earlier in the week when I did my Lighthouse review, what is it that you can say about this guy? You know, obviously people think of him as Twilight, but I tell you, watch The Rover, watch Good Times, watch The Lighthouse, watch a movie like this. This man is so well versed in his scene where he's introducing the movie. I really enjoyed it. It kind of was I don't want to say comedic, but it was definitely a scene that demanded your attention. I love his role in this film as this French prince, this arrogant French prince. And then Ben Mickelson, very, very small role. I won't say what happens to his character, but if you are a historian that I'm not, you kind of know what his character goes through. But anyway, I thought that his small role was a good role, and his relationship between him and Timothée Chalamet was very fractured, as you can see very early on. So transitions to my negatives of the film. Again, 2 hours and 20 minutes. The first hour and a half really focuses on the politics and everything. But some of those scenes, I honestly think you could have probably took out about 20 minutes of the film, because there was a repetitiveness going on in this movie where, yes, we have different characters and maybe different locations, but they always seem to kind of touch on the same topic, which was them kind of undermining King Henry V and how they don't want him to be king and how they're making up these plans to kind of throw things off. It just felt kind of repetitive within like this 20-minute span, which I wish they would have just elaborated more on some of the relationships. I wish we would have got more scenes with Sir John and Timothée Chalamet. I wish we would have got more scenes with Timothée Chalamet and his family, just to kind of get a better understanding of that dynamic. As far as other criticisms that I had of this film, you know, the last 40 minutes or so is a pretty entertaining in the sense of there's a war scene, which I thought was brutal and handled pretty well. It reminded me of somewhat of Battle of the Bastards, but it felt a little quick. You know, it was just kind of rushed. I really wish they would have focused on the horrific moments of when you get these wars where there's no guns, there's just soldiers with swords and horses. I wish that scene would have played out a little bit differently in regards to just giving us more out of those moments. And then last but not least, again, I had mentioned a little bit, but I would have loved to have seen more development of these characters, a little bit more of their backstory and their relationships within, you know, the situation they were in. So, and then again, like I said, there was some repetitiveness going on in the script there, as I had mentioned. But last but not least, finishing off my review here, I think that this film was definitely ambitious by Netflix. It definitely kind of showcases, again, the thing I love about these war movies that take place in this time is the politics and kind of the intertwining of different characters and how people become who they are and how they get power and how they attain certain power. And again, the last 20 minutes are really powerful in my opinion as far as performances and dialogue. Really well done. But again, I think that there is definitely a slow burn. I found myself on my phone more often than I like to be on my phone because there were moments that I kind of peeled in and out of the film. But overall, I thought it was really great performances, really well directed at points, but again, some repetitiveness in the script, some more backstory, and a little bit more going on the screen versus some of those moments that I think could have been injected out. But overall, I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5. I recommend you check that out. Again, I thought that there were strong performances, good direction, and a really good story to be told. So definitely check it out. 3.5 out of 5 for me. Definitely like and share this video. And leave your comments below on what you thought of this movie, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Things to keep an eye out for. We got a very busy weekend ahead of us here at Movie Files. I got some stuff on Apple Plus that I'm going to watch and review for you all. And of course, you can watch our content that's available now, from The Lighthouse to Terminator Dark Fate to Dr. Sleep. So definitely keep an eye out for those reviews this weekend. And another review that I'll be releasing later today that I saw for a movie, Eli, that I finally saw yesterday. So thank you all for watching this review, and we'll see you on the next video.